my thing. Good morning, everybody. I was just trying to fix my hair, but anyway. Good morning. So today is the 10th installment of our Sisters of the Yam reading co-reading experience, and
Is it 10 or
9th chapter, 10th installment. So this is the 10th day we've been doing this. I feel like we're like so inconsistent, right? We are so consistent at a time when nothing is consistent. We are just like, we are showing up. We're showing up, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, like I just need to. Yeah, but anyway, so Dumi and Ngozi. Dudu, good morning. Hey.
Hey, Dudu.
Yeah, Ngozi, you wanna come in and say hello? Okay, I think that was fine. Ngozi, do you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I thought you didn't hear me when I asked if you wanna come in and say hello.
Oh, hi everyone. I just kind of got excited and just said hi, Dudu. Especially when we were talking about how consistent we're being, and yeah, I love how you mentioned the kind of this time of uncertainty, and I know how we've discussed how this co-reading experience has become kind of an anchor in our day.
Yeah.
So yay, hi everyone.
So today's 9th chapter, it's titled Moved by Passion, Eros and Responsibility. So I love how Belle puts, love together with responsibility, right? Because
Yes.
I mean we've all been in relationships, guys, and sometimes some of us just think we could just do the things and just not be responsible for our actions, right? But yeah, so I just wanted to say that about the title of the chapter. But I want to just run into it, and I'm sorry we're late. It's all my fault. But I guess we will then do that whole 5 minutes after 12 thing if we need to. So I'm gonna just read it from a part where Belle writes, many black females learn early on how to objectify themselves, their bodies, and use the sexuality as a commodity that can be exchanged in the sexual marketplace. The black women who have internalized this way of thinking about their sexual selves, though they may appear liberated, I love how she puts that in inverted commas, are in actuality completely estranged from their erotic powers. Their estrangement is just as intense as that of black females who have learned from childhood that they can protect themselves from objectification, from commodifications, by denying any sensual or sexual dimension in themselves. So I wanted to open up with that piece because it speaks to how we use our bodies, and the concept of love as a commodity, right? We use it to trade, basically, in this life. And I mean, I've been just paying attention to how people, like some of the people that I know, are struggling to exist right now because they are away from situations where they can use that power, right? Where they can use that commodity and be like, I am whoever's girlfriend, or I am whoever's boyfriend, and this is, kind of describe themselves that way and use that to place themselves in a space, right? And I just wanted us to just open with that. I don't know if you had thoughts on that, Ngozi.
I actually really enjoy that you opened with that, because, and I mean, I'm going to assume that at some point we're also going to read from Audre Lorde's Uses of the Erotic, again, I feel like this is like we do this all the time.
Yes.
But specifically because Bell refers to that paper in, she refers to that text in this chapter as well. And I really would like to read, if I can, a couple of sentences from Uses of the Erotic by Audre Lorde.
Yes.
Just so that we can also place, maybe not place, but just kind of have a broad definition for what we mean when we are talking about eroticism.
Yes.
And the erotic.
And the erotic, yes.
And Audre writes, but the erotic offers a well of replenishing and provocative force to the woman who does not fear its revelation, nor succumb to the belief that sensation is enough. The erotic has often been misnamed by men and used against women. It has been made into the confused, the trivial, the psychotic, the plasticized sensation. For this reason, we have often turned away from the exploration and consideration of the erotic as a source of power and information, confusing it with its opposite, the pornographic. But pornography is a direct denial of the power of the erotic, for it represents the suppression of true feeling. Pornography emphasizes sensation without feeling. And I love that as well so much, because I mean, and this might be a bit of a reach, but I mean, a lot of us, I mean, I know I grew up in a Christian home, right? And one of the most prominent stories from my memory and my experience, including my spiritual experience, because this is, you know, this is wherein we grew up and wherein we found ourselves spiritually, is the story of Adam and Eve, right? And the way Eve and the quote-unquote fruit or apple, this fruit is always positioned as a sexual thing, and that Eve and the apple and the fall are all kind of like lumped together in this big kind of bucket of female sexuality and lust and unknowing and sin, and it's almost like her body and herself, her character, become the site of like everything that's wrong in the world and everything that became wrong with the world. Whereas it's like she's the first person with whom women can identify, and that eroticism, that physicality, that feeling, that emotion, that I guess men try to cut themselves off from all the time. It's interesting. I mean, I don't even know exactly what I'm trying to say, but it was just it's something that came up when I was reading and thinking about this chapter as well.
So thanks for bringing that up, because I've experienced a lot of times where people are talking about, you know, women, and they'll be like, the bad side of women, and they'll be like, oh, those Eves, don't come here and tell me about Eves. Eves are just, you know, and yeah, right. So we are. I mean, it's like a poker face type of thing that people put on us, right? Where you're just like, yeah, if you wanna. But it's also, I feel like it's also used when people try to responsibility in doing things. I've heard a lot of guys that come out and say, women, like all women this, all women that, you know. Women are crazy, women are, you know, like putting us into a whole, into like a basket, right? Because, you know, of that idea that like, you know, because we are Eves, we must have some evil in us. We must have, there is something that, you know, we're going to do. And it goes back, I always say that it's so tiring when people don't believe that you are who you are, and they expect you to constantly have to prove that you're not like going to turn, you know, you're not gonna wake up one day and be like evil stepmother type of thing, right? So yeah, right. But yeah, thanks for that. Do you wanna so I also wanted to look at this whole pornographic, right? There's like so many things that we can
go there, sister.
Yeah, let's just go there. Because somewhere in my notes, so first I'll talk about how when she was talking about when she was asking the question, is sex the only way we can experience touch? You know, that got me thinking about teen relationships, right? And how our children are seeing worth, or are you know, young females are now more and more trying to, you know, assert in themselves and say, you know, the only way that I can show that I love this guy is if I give him the purest part of me, right? So right now, I mean, even kids as young as like 15, you know, and yeah, I don't even know what the age is right now, but they, you know, engage in sexual acts because that's how they know, you know, how to get some sort of worth from a relationship. That's when, you know, and I mean, we can go back to Greenleaf. I don't know how many people have watched this, but I know Ngozi and I have watched it. So
the whole thing.
Yeah.
All of it.
Right? And Zora, there's this character Zora who's so beautiful, and she's like life, right? And but then she dates this musician guy, and then I mean, I won't say he pressurized her. I mean, they spoke about it and everything, but at some point, they sleep together, and then he starts hitting her, right? And when he's hitting her the one time, he's like, "Yeah, but like, whose girlfriend are you? You know? I mean, who's sleeping with you?" And I'm just like, so what does that have to do with anything, right? Well, you're hitting me, and then you want me to come back and say, "No, I'm your girlfriend. You know, I'm the one that's giving it to you. I'm the one that, you know, you're taking care of." No. So anyway, I don't want to diverge too much, but when I was thinking about this whole pornographic, I was thinking about positive images about how we grew up, right? And a lot of us growing up in Christian backgrounds, we didn't really have, you know, affirming positive images of what love should look like. And it's one of the reasons why I love that movie, The Hate You Give, because, you know, the parents are like smacking each other's butts, you know, kissing up on each other all the time. It's so cute, guys. It's so cute. I watched that and I was like, oh, I want my kids to see me going through that. You know, I want them to look at this and be like, oh, you guys are just so cute. My parents, you know, because, you know, the narrator says that. She's like, my parents are just so yucky, but they're so cute. Right?
And the kids must be embarrassed all the time.
They must
always just be like, oh my God, what are you old people doing?
Right. And we need that so that we can move away from feeling and knowing love as, you know, or eroticism as just sex, you know, as just, you know, the pornographic, as just the body, as just the act, as, you know. But I want to just bring Dudu into the picture. So she comments and says, I love the definition of the word erotic, coming from the Greek word eros, the personification of love in all its aspects. Or we speak of it, the erotic, then I speak of it as an... Am I reading the whole comment? Are you able to see the whole comment, Ngozi?
Let me open. Let me see if I can. I can't see. Let me see if I can open it up. No, I can only see her first comment where she says, "Hi, ladies," but it might be because my internet is a bit slow.
Okay, so mine also looks like a bit cut. I'm not sure if it's the entire, but then the last part says, "Speak of it the erotic then speak of it as an assertion of the life force of women, right? An assertion of the life force of women. Yeah, and I mean, guys, we're beautiful. We're there. It's a thing. It's a thing for women to just like take up space and look and walk into a room and just hold attention. It's a thing for us, right? But it's not us. It's not the entirety of us.
It's not the entirety of us.
Yeah.
I love that you say that as well, because I think somewhere in the beginning of the chapter, Belle writes specifically about that when she's speaking about the erotic, she's not necessarily talking about it in the context of like heteronormative relationships or kind of like gender binaries. Like she makes it very clear that that's not necessarily what she's speaking about.
Yeah.
And I think this is also a place where it kind of gets really tricky, and I'm hoping as well to be able to speak like plainly without being, sort of exclusionary or God forbid, offensive even.
Yeah.
There's a quality, I think, that femmes and women-bodied people, like female-bodied people, embody and have, and it does exist in that space of like the senses. It's the senses, all the senses, including the intangible senses.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like it's feeling, it's emotion, it's embodied, it's and even for those of us who decide to have children, even just the embodying of a human being within the body of the woman is a powerful metaphor for the power of our just embodiment of life, embodiment of pleasure, embodiment of joy, embodiment of creativity, in a very kind of literal sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Yoruba proverb that says that a child is a combination of the spirit of the father and the body of the mother.
Oh. And
it's like, what a beautiful saying, because it's literally like, it's embodiment, it's a person comes into being with their entire physicality and their entire ability to be in the world through the body of a woman-bodied person, of a person who carries a womb, of a woman. And like, I just think it's like a super powerful thing and a super powerful reason that the patriarchy is so afraid of us, and wants to police us and wants to frame our bodies in a particular way, in a way that only they know how to consume it, the only way that they want to consume it, which removes the power of the erotic. And again, as Audrey and Belle write, reduces it to the pornographic, because the pornographic is a reduction, like, not necessarily to say that being body positive and inhabiting your body fully and taking a nude or taking a selfie, sending a nude, being sexual, that's not to say that that's wrong, not at all. But there's a quality, I think, in the pornographic that is completely lacking in the true meaning of the erotic.
Yeah. True.
So, yeah.
Because there's also like a way of not allowing women to just be themselves, right? And like, just taking, pictures the way you want to take pictures, taking nudes, there's that whole moral concept of it, that when you do that, I mean, the other day we were talking about standing in front of the mirror and just taking in our bodies, right? And we were talking about how rare that is, how you just don't stand in front of the mirror and you're just like, oh my God, hey, hey, period.
Yes, gal. Yes, beautiful.
But then it's easier. It becomes it is easier for you when you're like taking a picture of yourself in like a swimsuit or your underwear or whatever, to send to somebody else, to then be in that position where you're just like, I like how I look and I can share this type of thing. But when you're doing it for yourself, right, for you, then it's kind of like a different thought process, right? And I just wanna can you just give me I need to just get my seat. I'm sitting really uncomfortably, so I need to just put my seat back because it fell. Okay, now I'm falling. Great.
Oh, cool. Are you comfy now? Great.
No, but my seat fell again, so it's fine. Because I'm like literally hiding. I'm like in a nook hiding from my kids because they always like kind of find me. But it's fine. I'll just find a way. So I just also wanna go into this word, erotic metaphysics. All right, which is described in the book as being based on an assumption that we become more fully who we are in the act of loving. And I was when I was reading this, I was thinking about something that somebody said to me when I was dating a white guy. Somebody came up to me and said, so how do you feel dating a white guy, right? And I was just like, I feel okay. I mean, he's a guy, right? And this was like a guy, and he was saying, actually, I'm thinking about it differently because and this is a black guy, but he's like an entitled black guy. So he was just like, so I'm thinking about it differently because, when you think about black guys and what they can bring, beautiful black women like you, what they can bring to the table, and it's actually just like their sex, right? Like all they're showing up, how they're showing up is bringing good sex. And I was just like, what? What? And I had to think about it, right? I had to think about it. And then I read at some point that book, Robin Norwood's Women Who Love Too Much. And the second chapter is titled Good Sex in Bad Relationships. And that got me thinking about the number of accounts when you sat with your girls and they just like, girl, I'm unhappy. Like, it's just, it's draining. It's too much. It's just, And then you're just like, why are you there? Why are you staying? And then they'll be like, the sex is really good. Right? And then you're just like, okay. And then they're like, yeah, happy, like, if you make sacrifices, you make sacrifices. If that is good, then, I can stay for that. Because, and then it's like, it becomes a whole thing, like, then getting a new partner and figuring out all these other things about them. And rather the devil then you're just like,
It's super interesting because did you read it? I think you read it earlier on, just now, a few minutes ago, about sex and the fact that we don't touch each other enough, and the only time that we get any kind of, affection or affirmation from lovers is during the act. Like, so there isn't even that kind of.
Yeah. So. Oh, no, I didn't write it down. I just wrote that one line, is sex the only way in which we can experience touch. But then there's also that part where she writes, deprivation of bonding creates erotic poverty. Erotic poverty gives rise to violence. Violence further inhibits eros, we can't make love on battleships. I love, probably like the best part of this chapter for me. I'm just like, you know, the way, and it goes back to the way we were raised, the way we are raising our boys, right? Men don't cry, men are strong, hold it together, type of thing. And then they don't see what it's, oh yeah. And when I was making my notes, I was thinking about the instances where I've watched porn, right? And it always just seems so violent. And I'm just like, what? Can these people not be gentle? Can they just be gentle, right? And then you get into the bedroom, and a guy is as harsh as in a porn video with you. And you're just like...
Yes.
And like I remember, I've had on several occasions had to stop people and be like, that's not working. Hey, that whole thing that you're doing is not working. Like, you need to slow down. You need to like take care of me. I need to feel like I am in this, because I'm in, two-way street type of thing. And I'm sensitive, so you need to be gentle with me. You need to, so like that whole thing, that deprivation of bonding, because you can't have that type of sexual relations. You can't have that type of, I'm even taking it to the sexual, you can't have that type of erotic relationship, right, without that bonding aspect, without just sitting with each other and just talking and laughing about things, and just and just being attracted to the small things that are outside the body, right, that are just not how you look when you are undressed, how you like the other things, the way she laughs when she's watching the show, the way she
yes,
those things, right? Those intimate things.
Sorry, sis. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No. I've been talking a while.
You're reminding me of a couple of things. I mean, there's a thing where, we realize that when we're talking, when women said you're chatting with your friends, you're talking about your relationships or whatever, and like you realize that thing, it's like, it's sad how it seems like society is we're raising our boys to be completely cut off from their sense of gentleness, from their sense of feeling and vulnerability, and softness and nurturing and ability to connect intimately, because those things are frowned upon, and they're often even physically, literally beaten out of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then as they grow up again, the only interaction with women that they then see or engage with is porn. And porn is completely unrealistic. It's unrealistic, and it's actually, in a number of cases, quite violent towards women. And that's the only thing, that's the only way they know how to connect with girls, with women.
Yeah.
And then they grow up and they don't know how to treat a woman. Because this idea of knowing how to treat a woman, meaning you buy her stuff, or you take her places, or you sit and with her friends, like, okay, there's certain things, and there's those kinds of things, okay, that's fine, and it's lovely and it's nice, but there is a certain gentleness that one needs to possess to truly be able to engage with and be in relationship with a woman. There's that, it's just that, like, just a gentleness, because women, I mean, we're and again, I don't want to essentialize, and like stereotype, but there's a softness in us. There's a depth of emotion. There's a depth of feeling. There's a mysterious spiritual thing that we come with and bring as well. There's all kinds of qualities that women have and women bring outside of our bodies, outside of the sexuality of the body and the labor of the body that we bring to a relationship. And you know, it's really interesting because even now, like when we then meet and engage with men who are able to be vulnerable, who are able to be gentle, who are able to engage and nurture and support, it becomes like, hey banna, and then where did you come from?
Yes. Who are you?
You know?
Yeah.
And and I just also want to say, just shout out to the brothers and shout out to the people who are able to engage on that level of gentleness and vulnerability and intimacy, because
thanks for that shout out, because I think they need to know how important those little gestures are, because so I see Dudu's coming in. I just wanna, before that, right, just touch on two things that you said quickly. So first, you know, about the brothers and how they will like buy you stuff, right? So I have instances where I had a problem with a brother and I was just like, can we talk about this, right? And he was just like, you know, actually I'm just gonna go home and then I'm gonna call you, right? And then he leaves and then he gets home and then he sends money, right? So then I'm sitting here and I'm just like, okay, what's going on, right? And then he's like, so he like masks us and says, hey, this is like for next week I'm gonna be traveling with you, so you can like just put in petrol, right? But I'm just like, yeah, but we do that all the time and you don't have to, you never like do that whole petrol thing. So anyway, I ask another guy, right? I'm like, so I asked another guy, I'm like, you know what, this guy did this and I don't understand, because what I wanted was a conversation, right? And then he was like, men don't know how to express their feelings. So when you want to talk and he then sends you money, you should see it as a way of him communicating that he's sorry and that he's wrong and that he, you know, that's how he communicates. And I was like, bullshit, because you are like shutting me, like you're shutting me up, right? You're using money, you're using things to shut me up. I want to have the conversation. I don't want to fight, but I want to have that conversation. And Bell in the book writes that dialogue is a powerful gesture of love. And I mean, you know, me having whatever and having money and having gifts and does not replace in my mind, right? Even when I'm like, oh, these are so beautiful, I still want to have the dialogue. I still want to talk about.
It's so important, because again, I think I said this as well, and maybe like episode 3, like, or 2. It's like talking with one another is loving one another. Like, we don't have to fight. Mm-hmm. Because, girl, imagine if someone throws money at you every time you have a problem. Right. I have a problem all the damn time. Okay, I'm kidding.
I know what you mean. So let me just bring in Dudu's comment, right? And there's 2 of them. So she says, Dumelo, yes. On that, what you said about pornography and sex being tied to a need for touch. Well, while I do get that the erotic is not only about sex, if I'm honest, I think I'm currently in a phase in my life where I feel like I'm exploring it. Sexuality, mine, and the connections with other people on that level. At the level, or in the same way that which bell hooks at all her references, right? In the chapter she describes later that when she talks about teenage pregnancy and the connection between early sexual experience and desire to find a space where you can express the need to be touched. May we know how to distinguish those longings for sexual desires, right? May we know how to distinguish those longings for, right? So we can see that, like, you know, even yeah, I'm gonna go back to the comment, but there's that thing where you feel, you just like, bruh, all you're doing is seeing me. That's all you're doing. You are just seeing me, right? You are just seeing this. You know, you're just seeing the body, and I want you to hear me, and I want you to feel me. You and sometimes you don't know how to like snap people out back from that, because whew, yeah. Anyway, so she goes on and says, I think it describes very, very well my sexual life, and I am when I was a teenager until the late 20s. My first intercourse experience, I was raped by a boy I had a huge crush on at 15. And about 2 years after that, I was sexually violated by a person I was in sort of a relationship with. So from then on, my sex life was really fucked up. In my mind, I think I believed that my body or sex is all I had to offer. But I really wanted love. Doo-doo, girl. The way you come through, right? Thank you so much for sharing that.
I love that so much. I love that so much. I'm so thank you so much for sharing that, Dudu, and for bringing it up, right? Because I've also experienced sexual violence and rape, and it's something that Belle doesn't talk about, interestingly, in this chapter. I didn't. I mean, I don't know. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, because I realized that there is, and I wonder whether she did it on purpose, whether she excluded that on purpose, because a lot of the experiences that women have, their first encounters, their first sexual encounters, are often in the context of violence and a lack of consent and a giving up of your autonomy, your bodily autonomy, and then a perversion or a skewed self-concept, you know, and a disassociation from your own body. Like,
yes, it's like, you know, your body's there, right, and you're here, right, and you have to like bring yourself back into your body. It's like a weaving. You have to, yeah.
And also being able to speak up for your body in a sexual relationship, and speak up for and I think, I don't know whether you touched on it, or I think you may have posted it on the page this morning. Being able to speak up for your bodies, and Dudu speaks about it as well. Like, I want to use a condom, I want to use protection, talking about contraception, talking about what feels good, talking about when you're not in the mood, when you don't want to do something, talking about when you want to try something, talking about your fantasies, your desires, your, you know, and using your words to express and to protect your body, you know, and what's good and what feels good for yourself. And I really wonder, like, I'm so curious if I get, like, you know, it's just like, girl, why didn't this feature in the chapter?
In the chapter, right? Because they're like, oh, I mean, it takes many, you know, I mean, oh yeah, you know, she did that just with that line, I think, that I just read, where she was like, the deprivation of the bond leads to violence, and violence leads to, but that's it, literally. Yeah, but and I also, so two things from what she said, right? About like protecting your space and being able to say, I'm just gonna come back to that second comment about by Tulu, and be able to say, actually, this is not what I want, because I recently had one of those encounters, right, with like a long-standing lover, and it was so uncomfortable, because you're here and you're just like, you know how you go back to a lover because you're just like, or you just hang out, right? And you're just like, I just need a safe space. And I trust you. So I just need to like be in a space where I feel safe, right? And then you're there and it's okay, it's good, you're listening to music, you're debating, you're doing all the nice stuff, right? Because you can do that, and even when you're not dating, even when you're not sleeping together, you can do that. But then on this particular day, it ends where he's just like, but I want you. And you're just like, okay, yeah, that's fine, but I don't want you, and I don't want, and you're very clear about why. You're just like, I am in a space where I am just trying to sort things out with myself, right? And I find that it's far easier for me to just separate myself from you know, the sexual, especially with you, right? And then he's just like, yes, I hear you, but I want you. And it's like a nagging thing that goes on, right? And you're just like, no, why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this? Because I don't want to, and it's not the reason why I'm here. And you end up like just giving in. But
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and it just makes you feel like, no.
Yeah.
No, that's not how
it is. Not. I'm so sorry. That's it's also quite manipulative and,
yes.
and interesting how and I won't talk too long as well because I know Dudu's comment also needs to feature in our conversation. I love them.
Yeah.
How popular culture teaches us that a woman's dissent, a woman's no, is it's malleable, right?
Yes.
And if you pursue her hard enough, then eventually it'll turn into a yes. And in the same breath, women are taught to. It's this kind of this respectability politic, modesty bullshit where nonsense where you're not allowed to express when you want to have sex. You have to play hard to get.
Yes.
You have to pretend. You have to feign modesty.
Yeah.
So you feign modesty. You feign like, oh no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And then cue now the man must pursue and he must convince and
yes.
he must be persistent and break down those walls. And it's just the most bizarre thing because when a woman does say yes, I want, then the respectability politic of she's a hoe comes into
yes, definitely.
Yeah. And then it's just bizarre because when she says no, I don't want, then it's an invitation to press and try harder. When it's like, what? That it makes no sense. It's extremely confusing.
Yeah, it is. So I don't wanna. I wanted to say something else, but I don't want to anymore. Yeah, I might have time. But then that first comment by Dudu, the earlier comment, she says that when Belle says, since so many black people have experienced traumatic physical abuse, we come to sexuality wounded. She's talking about me too and how I experienced my sexuality or sex life or search for intimacy. So just briefly, right? Just quickly. And it goes back to her first comment. I wanted to say that I have had conversations and sessions with guys that also come from a violent sexual background, and I've tried to, because I have a couple of friends and a couple of ex-lovers that come from that type of situation, and I mean the way they speak about it, right? It's just by the way type of thing. It just slips out and you almost miss it. It's never it's never a conversation. It's never right? It's like a very subtle by the way type of thing. And there's very little space to engage. But also the way Dudu explained how you then separate yourself from your body, because what I've experienced with those guys is that then they're overly sexual. They are just very sexualized, right? They're just sex everything, sex all the time, sex is how I love. Sex, right? And because the chances to engage are so few and far apart, it's so hard to link the relationships, right? But when you do find out that somebody has such a history, it's easy. It's almost like it's like a basket. You're just like, that's why that this person is acting. That's why, type of thing. And then I just wanna so I think that's it. And I just wanna go back to her next comment, which says, so I went too far down. So this phase I'm in, I think is aligned to what Belle says when she says not to be able to heal the wounded dimensions of our erotic lives until we assert our right to healing pleasure in our lives. I love the term erotic metaphysics, based on the assumption that we become more fully who we are in the act of loving, right? And then she goes on and says that I'd like to explore myself more in this light through finding healing pleasure spaces and becoming more of who I am by being by being in the act or acts of loving. For me, this includes intimacy and touch and that connection with others, right? With another. I know about myself that when with the right person, or who my spirit feels is right, maybe I do come alive from that connection with another. Hey guys, I hope I don't sound like I'm just locked out horny, no.
Girl, not even.
Not even.
You know what? How's that sexuality in your 30s though?
Yo, how about sexuality when you're a full-time single mom? Try that.
I love what Dudu was saying in the most recent comment now. When she was talking about, and I'm just going to paraphrase loosely, talking about finding that space where she feels comfortable, like with another, and like where she feels free, And I want to read here where Belle writes. She writes about healing eroticism again, and it's a bit long, but I'm going to try race through. And she writes, what forms of passion might make us whole? To what passions may we surrender with the assurance that we will expand rather than diminish the promise of our lives? Where may we look to catch a glimpse of the kind of passionate life that would heal both the psyche and the body politic? And then she goes on a bit later in the following paragraph to say, without knowing that we hold within ourselves so much fear, we find in encounters with one another, with caring partners, that sexuality has often been a fearful sight.
Yes.
But it can be a place where we can let the fear go, where we can recover and come back to ourselves. And I love that, here again, a bit further, she says, we find that there is a healing eroticism in liberation struggle when we actively engage every aspect of our being to bring to Black experience beauty, honor, respect, and vigilant caretaking. And for me, that's why I love Black love, guys. I love Black love.
Can't get enough of it.
I love seeing it. I love hearing about it. I love reading about it, watching it in movies, experiencing it. I love Black love,
And we need to see more of it. We need to experience more of it. I know that I can literally pick out instances where I've been with lovers that are just so good for your soul, so good for you, and you just you glow. You're constantly glowing because of the energy, that Black love, the richness, the depth of it, right? And I also want to go back to that Audre Lorde essay on the power of the erotic way. Somewhere in the beginning she writes, the aim of each thing we do is to make our lives and the lives of our children more possible. I think you read that, ne? Within the celebration of the...
No, babes.
Okay, within the celebration...
I didn't read that part.
Okay. Within the celebration of the erotic, in all our endeavors, right? So, I love how she doesn't say the erotic in the relationship. She's just like, the erotic in everything that we do. It be able to show up and be loving and be caring and being, in everything that we do. So within the celebration of the erotic in all our endeavors, my work becomes a conscious decision, a longed for bed which I enter gratefully and from which I rise up empowered.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Yes. Oh yes.
Right.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And it's in everything. Like I think I may have mentioned it maybe yesterday. This book by Adrienne Marie Brown called Pleasure Activism.
Yes, you mentioned it.
And a lot of her work is based in, it's kind of steeped in the work of like Audre Lorde, Bell Hooks. They're writing about love, Zora Neale Hurston, etc., etc. And the ways in which they express and the ways in which they experience and the ways in which we can experience pleasure is not necessarily, it's not just a sexual thing. It's enjoying your cup of coffee in the morning. It's sitting outside in the garden. It's one of the reasons as well. I was actually thinking about it when I was reading this chapter last night about how both you and Dudu, because I know both of you really enjoy your time in the garden. And I keep thinking about what an erotic experience that must be, because it's like you're digging and your hands are in the earth and your feet are on the ground and you're watering and clipping and trimming, and it must be such a pleasurable experience, that it's tactile, but it's also like completely non-sexual, but like erotic in nature, like, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, it brings immense pleasure, right? But I know we have literally like 5 minutes, but I wanted us to like lastly touch on the part where she writes about parents treating their girls like dolls, puppets on a string, right? And how we taught to be proper and prim and not get dirty and not play. Our kids, we treat not to. And I thought, right, because when I was I'm raising boys, and so there was a time where I was like, I don't know what I was doing, but I was looking up outfits for boys, and there were all these kids proper dressed, right, in polo suits, in the things. They were just like, they looked so good. Wow. These little dolls, they look like dolls, right? But at the same time, because she speaks about it in the context of then the kids can't play, they can't go out, they can't experience, they can't feel, they can't, right? They can't explore their senses, right? Because then they're kept, because when you dress a kid in 500 rand jeans or like 1,000 rand sneakers, you're just like, bruh, you better take care of those, you better sit there, you better, because MK tore, he jumped over like a fence yesterday and he tore like right across a pair of pants that I bought like recently, and my first reaction was just to say, do you know how much those pants cost? But I was just like, chill, chill. And then I just like laughed at him, and then he was like, oh, my pants. And I was like, bruh, he's like, has this ever happened? This has never happened to you. And I actually was just like, bruh, nika paradito. And my tights were always torn because I used to do that all the time, right? So like he's then allowed to experience these things, but we don't. So when I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about how we raise our child, and we, there's that culture as kotani, there's that, that throwing money at kids and making sure that your kids have everything, and making sure that your kids they have a certain look. How then we also are taking away their senses.
Girl, I'm there. Like, Pep is my friend. Pep has been my friend, because it's like, oh, like 40 bullet track pants, yeah, for 3 or like for 2, yeah, I'm gonna buy that, because what are they going to do? They're going to run, they're going to crawl, they're going to roll around in the dirt, they're going to like wrestle each other, they're going to climb stuff. And I mean, because I also like very clearly remember my childhood where also I'm a girl, and the expectation, I think my mom gave up on the frilly stuff. I think I was about 5-6 years old.
Yeah.
She gave up. Like, she just gave up on the frilly stuff. Because, first of all, it was itchy, girl. First of all, it was itchy. Second of all, you can't climb in it.
You can't. No. You must sit. You must sit, and you must sit with your legs closed, crossed.
Yo.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
No. And yeah, like, it's another thing that I try and do as well with my boys is hug them often. Like, hug them and hug them often and hold them and allow them to bump into me and roll over, and so that they don't feel like they have to apologize for their bodies taking up space.
Yeah.
And they can also express when they want to do something, and they can express when it's like, no, I don't want to, don't touch me.
Yeah.
Because my little one, Udo, Udo doesn't like kissing me on my lips.
Yeah.
He hasn't done that since he was like 4.
Yeah.
And he's just like, no.
No.
So it's like, oh, okay, fine. So it's always like cheek kisses. That's, Udo does cheek kisses.
Yeah.
He doesn't do lip kisses, no.
Well, with me, Atang, right, wipes kisses. So he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind, like, he'll kiss you. He's very affectionate, so he'll kiss you and stuff. He'll hug you. He loves hugs. But when you, like, kiss him, right, he's like, right, and I'm just like, this child. He, like, always wiping, always, like, he doesn't mind. Like, he'll laugh, but he's like, and I'm just like,
yo, mama, you're so gross.
Yeah, right. And then NK on the other hand is very I don't know how many times I have to say to NK, personal space, NK, because he's like on your face, looking into your phone, like hug all the time, and I'm just like, please, like, space, like, just stand there. You can see the screen, it's fine. Just, don't come like this. It's okay, right? But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting raising kids, right? It's interesting raising boys. So I think we are like on that mark. Lolo just joined us. He says good morning. I'm just gonna say hi, but we're on our way out. We're on our way out. So, I'm so glad that it's over. I'm glad.
And you know what? I'm also grateful that it was a much lighter. It felt like a much lighter chapter than yesterday.
Yes. Because I mean, it was. I was expecting it to just like be heavy, because a lot of the stuff that I read about, that I saw, that I was, was just like, yeah, stuff that you don't usually talk about, right? I mean, I was talking and I'm thinking, if my mother sees this video, guys, like, type of thing, right? And I mean, it makes you think about Kolega Putuma, how when she wrote no Easter Sunday for queer. Wow.
Oh, no Easter Sundays for queers.
Thank you. I hate not saying words correctly because I don't like offending and stuff. But and then somebody in an interview they asked her like, so did you? Have your parents read the book, right? She's like, I think it was on a podcast. She's like, my mom is here today, so I'm not even sure. They haven't read the book, but she's here to sound it, right? Because you always like, I have this life. and there's like this life is very sexual. It's like it's nothing like I would be able to talk to my parents about at home, but it's there. It exists, and I love how we are more and more coming out, and we are being able to say, I mean, this is what's happening, right? Yeah, and I know that, I mean, we come from different backgrounds, and still some of us can't have these conversations with our parents. And I mean, I want to stop talking, right? But I was in public talking about, my son had just gotten a cut, and I was talking, and he was like, "Oh my God, you don't have anything like this," and I was like, "I have like a bigger scar, you know, where your big head came out." And somebody was just like, oh. and then he's like, "You have a scar?" I'm like, "Yeah, you've never seen it, but it's there." And he's like, "Yeah, Mara, they must have cut you when you had a I'm like, "Yes, they cut me right where they cut me for you." And that lady was just like, "Oh my God, this woman, why is she talking about," right? And I mean, but then it's there and it's real, and my kids need to know that, I mean, I have a huge scar, guys, where your head came out. But anyway, that's it from me. So, before I close, quickly, Dudu says my firstborn is like that too. Oh, she laughs. Okay. My second born is a hagger. Bye, ladies. And then Lolo says, I joined you late today. Sounds like you had a fantastic topic today. Yes, Lolo, you can just watch the video after. Ngozi?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, sis. All the kisses.
Bye.